Welcome back to Chin Music, our baseball show at TalkNorth.com, and All-Star Tribune lineup today. LaVelle E. Neal, Star Tribune columnist and baseball guru, is with me. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune. We are hoping to have Scott Miller, our old friend and beat rival, on soon to talk about his book about baseball managers. Really looking forward to that. This week, we're just going to get down to the obvious. Two big obvious stories going on with the Minnesota Twins. Number one, they're playing better. Number two, they still can't stay healthy. Let's get into that and what's ahead for this team. Discuss all the individual moves and whether their slight improvement lately is something they can actually build in. We want to let you know we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studios. Thanks to Aquarius Home Services, we are presented to you by Giggly THC Beverages. That's Gigli THC Beverages and Onyx Hunt. The promo code for Giggly.com. Go there, order what you like. It's all good. Use the promo code GigglyNorth for 50% off your first order. I just did it myself, and I did not regret it. Check it all out. Let's start here, LaVelle. The way this team has played for most of this week, we're talking here on Thursday, on the Twins off day before they play in Atlanta, was what I expected to see coming out of spring training. They obviously had a horrible first couple of weeks. This week, they hit line drives, they ran the bases hard, and they got good pitching. Did you feel hopeful after watching the Mets series?
A little bit. I still want to see more from the offense, but they were able to piece things together, especially in Wednesday's victory. That was encouraging, especially on the day where Correa couldn't start because of the wrist issue he's dealing with, and a couple other guys being banged up like Wallner. The starting rotation, no one can complain about how they're rolling right now. The guys are getting into the fifth or sixth innings. They're keeping games close. It was crazy that they were 2-5 through 7 games with the starters combining for a 0.96 ERA. That was just a mind-boggling stat for me. Defense has gotten better. Rocco had the pitchers out in the field doing PFP drills, I noticed, before Tuesday's game after that disaster, which needed to be done. The final frontiers consisted offense, trying to get guys to stack good at bats after good at bats and putting the bat on the ball and going with pitches a little bit more or just focusing on hitting the ball hard up the middle. Good things happen in the middle of the field there if you get the ball out there. So I was encouraged. They have to keep this up because they should at least be comforted by the fact that the starting staff is performing as expected, and that's going to keep them in ball games.
Agreed. And the bullpen in general has been good enough. Maybe not blow the doors off is quite as impressive as we might have expected coming out of the gate, but they've generally done the job. But we got to get to it here. Let's get to the injury. Correa is dealing with a wrist issue. Wallner goes on the injured list. It looks like Castro might end up on the injured list. Royce Lewis and Brock Stewart are still on the injured list. Brooks Lee just came off of it, and they had to go out and get a guy named Bride, who was really struggling early this year with the Marlins, just to have depth because Austin Martin's hurt and Jose Miranda's hurt, and I don't think it's time to call up Emma Rodriguez or Luke Keechel at this point.
No, correct. It's an issue right now. I'm very concerned. I don't say very, but I'm more than moderately concerned about Carlos Correa because when a hitter's having a problem with his hands, that really limits him at the plate. And so the Twins have to make sure that this is just a real minor issue, that Correa can get through and get back in the lineup and resume his hitting. It was disturbing to hear that this is something that was nagging him last year and that he took an MRI and found no structural damage and kind of went through his normal offseason routine and went through his spring training. When he got a lot of at-bats, he played a lot of games, didn't complain. But as we have seen, the production's not been there. Jim, it's hard to have a minus 0.2 WAR through 3 weeks if you're a shortstop. And that's what he had going into this week. And that's something he has to turn around immediately because they need his offense. They need him to hit like the all-star that he is, that the accomplished player that he is, that the guy who's making $30-something million a year is. I've said this multiple times. I'll say it again. His Twins career has not been like his Astros career. And the Twins need him to get back to that form. And if he's got a problem with a hand, I'm more inclined to putting him on IL and let him sort it out. Because We just went through 2 years of him dealing with plantar fasciitis in each foot. And now you got a hand. Once again, hitters' hands are precious. If there's something wrong with that thing, they need to be careful. Hopefully he's not trying to force himself into the lineup in a position where he can aggravate it.
And it's true that he hit in some bad luck the first couple of weeks of the season. It's also true that he hit a lot of ground balls and didn't elevate the ball and didn't hit the ball over the fence, which is the best way to avoid people catching hard hit balls, is to hit it where they can't catch them. So I give him a little bit of a break on his batting average because he should have had more hits, but they need him to be an impact hitter. And I just feel like that wrist injury is probably keeping him from doing that.
Right. I agree, man. I agree there was some bad luck, but I just haven't been impressed. I need to see more from him. I need to see him put the ball in the seats once in a while. I need to see him use the whole field. I've been fine with his defense. Apparently his base running, in terms of like speed, is down a little bit. So I hope there's no lingering issue with his feet. He just means too much to this lineup and too much to his team to be in a situation where he's trying to play not at 100% in April. If something he's been taken care of, let's take care of it now.
Yeah, and I do think he's relatively slow. I also think he's incredibly cautious on the bases. You can see him thinking as he's running in almost every situation, don't get hurt, don't get hurt, don't get hurt, which is probably wise, but it's not inspiring of confidence that he's going to stay healthy.
No, you're right. You're right. And, you give players credit for toughening things out, being tough and fighting through it and staying in the lineup for their teammates. But you have to be smart about it. And I just want Carlos Correa to be smart about it. He, along with Byron Buxton, are keys to this offense. They don't have a legitimate cleanup hitter. You can argue they don't have a number 3 hitter. These guys, in terms of potential OPS, are 2 of the best hitters. And collectively, they've got to lead this offense. And we've seen flashes from Buck, definitely. Buck's sprint speed, apparently Buck's the second fastest player in baseball to Bobby Witt Jr. so far this year in terms of sprint speed, which tells you that he's healthy. Now it's on Correa. And they've got to produce, or this team is not going to have a chance.
Yeah, and with Buxton, he's healthy. He's running extremely well. You can see it with the eye. You don't even need the measurement. He's running free. He's covering lots of ground in the outfield. He's been explosive on the bases, but he's got to take good at bats. He has so much talent. When he gets his pitch, he's going to hit it hard someplace and very likely over the fence. But he just swings at too many pitchers' pitches.
He does. He chases outside the zone. He chased a bad slider down and away 2 days ago, and yesterday on Wednesday game against the Mets, he chased a pitch that was probably chin high and struck out. So he just has to reel it in a little bit. So I'll take those every now and then if he's going to put the bat on the ball and drive the ball to right, center, and left, like we know he can. We don't want to see too many of those outcomes from Byron, but I'm just happy that the man looks like he's healthy. He's moving like he's healthy. He had to run down a lot of well-hit balls against the Mets in this series because, Lindor and Juan Soto kept putting the ball high in the air and deep. So he had to chase a few down. And he's looked great doing it. So that's one, thing that the Twins can point to and feel hopeful about is that he could potentially could be on the field for 120, 130 games this year.
Yes, that would be a wonderful thing for everybody. All right, let's get to a couple of high points before we get back to the problems. They have had a couple of players be pretty impressive here in the early going, and they probably aren't people you expected from. Let's get to that next. First, I wanted to talk about Giggly THC Beverages, GIGLI.com. Again, the promo code is Giggly North, 50% off your first order. I've been emphasizing how much I like all the different flavors, all the different varieties of drinks, the cocktails, and these are non-alcoholic, just THC beverages. You can get them 5 milligram or 10 milligram. 5 kind of fits me. 10 if you really want to have a good time. They have seltzers. They also have seltzers that are just really light and nice, and my wife really likes the teas. There's the Arnie Palmer version, just either basic lemon tea. There are raspberry teas, other teas. It's all good stuff. We've tried it all. We love it all. We've spent our own money on it. We've ordered it ourselves. What I want to emphasize today is this is a Minnesota business, and you can find it in your local liquor store. You can find it in all Quick Trips across Minnesota, and they will ship nationwide. So remember, Giggly.com is the website. Giggly North is the promo code. But listen, once you get done using the promo code, you're going to like it so much, you're going to keep ordering it. It's reasonably priced, real fruit juice, all natural, tastes great, and you feel great the next morning, which is one of my favorite things about it. Giggly.com. Also want to ask you, have you ever driven past a piece of land and wondered who owns that, or maybe you need to know exactly where a property line runs? That's where onX Hunt comes in, and it's not just for hunters. There are folks using onX for their jobs every day throughout the country, from farmers and ranchers mapping out their fields, wildland firefighters navigating rough terrain, to construction workers needing to know who owns what property. This app offers something for everyone. If you need the best land ownership maps, aerial imagery, and property boundaries in your pocket, onX Hunt is the tool for the job. Try it free for 7 days. Download onX Hunt in the app or Google Play Store, or visit onxmaps.com/hunt to get started. You know who's looked really good? Bader and France. Bader and France. You know, I mean,
the last two guys he signed.
Yeah, the last two guys, and two guys that, you know, you didn't, I mean, even though you understood the rationale under their circumstances with a limited budget and going out and getting France, it was hard to get excited about him. And Bader, you know, he just hasn't hit much the last few years, even though we know he's a very good athlete and a very good outfielder. Bader, to me, I mean, France takes good at bats, and he's given himself a chance, and he got a big hit the other day, and his numbers are good so far. Bader, I don't know. I look at him, and I look at the swing he puts on the ball, his plate approach, his presence at the plate, and his ability to hit the ball hard. I wonder if the Twins really found a gem there.
Now, it's just about Bader. First of all, he likes to walk around without a shirt on, and he should, because he's
I would say if I was built like him, I would too.
And so, he has earned that distinction. But I thought when the Twins signed him, he would be more of a Manuel Margot extra outfielder who would not look so bad against left-handed pitching. But he's a little bit more than that. He's a guy that I think he won out in the lineup 3-4 times a week now. Yes, he can fill in for Buxton at center. He's filled in the corner outfield spots, and he can slide Warner or Larner to DH if needed. But yeah, when he puts a bat, you think he's going to get a hit when he's standing in the batter's box. And he was like their best hitter over the first week, driving the ball around the park, hitting for power, driving in runs. And that was a crazy thing, Jim. I still remember talking to Rocco in spring training about Bader and Willie Castro. And just from a defensive standpoint, Rocco's like, you watch, early on, I got to get these guys out in the field because I want to make sure we catch the ball. You know, but he's needed them out there for their offense. When everybody else was struggling, those two guys were producing some at the plate and getting things done. And Bader's going to earn more playing time here going forward. And I'm all for it based on what I've seen. And if you had told me that Ty France would be the first Twin to be AL Player of the Week, I would have taken that bet and probably clean out my bank account betting against that. But it's happened. France has had a big week, and he's been a guy that is driving in runs. And you know, he's a former All-Star, so he has it in him. And maybe he needed a fresh start. He had to wait a while to sign. Sometimes when you wait, you know, until like February, March to sign with a team, you know, that stokes your fire. And I think that Bader in France do have that motivation coming in. There's a chip on their shoulder about how long they had to wait to find a gig. And so, I like that he's been fine at first base. He has scoop throws in the dirt. So far, he's proven himself right, because during spring training, he was adamant when he talked to our beat writers about how his defense is not as bad as the metrics suggested last year. And it hasn't been. He's been pretty steady over there. So, these last two additions, right after, you know, the Polak family authorized, okay, well, we can give you guys a few more $1 million to spend. And chosen out and got two guys who may up being really good fits for them.
Yeah, no doubt. My really only concern with France right now is he's not very tall, and I think he wants to make every play with his foot on the base. He wants to get every stretch, every scoop, and I think he's gonna if the Twins pitchers keep throwing the ball over his head, he's gonna have to learn that sometimes you just got to go get the ball and not worry about the out, save the base. But, that's an
Right.
understandable adjustment for him to make. And I would also like it if Twins pitchers could actually throw the stinking ball to the first baseman accurately once in a while. That would be a nice thing.
That's weird. I watched them go through PFPs during camp. I'm stunned that they're having problems like this.
I think it's a mental thing. I also think when your team's struggling and you have a weird play and you force it, you're more likely to make a mistake. It's just got to be coincidental more than anything else at this point. But I think France has handled himself well. I like the way he takes at bats. Bader, he's won a Gold Glove. We know he's good in the outfield. We know he can play left field at target field. But man, the throw the other day, I love it when outfielders just gun somebody out and they don't rely on a long bounce. They just gun it there. Buxton, he's every bit the athlete we thought he'd be. He is the power hitter we thought he'd develop into. He's the base stealer we thought he'd develop into. He could still improve his quality of at bats. But I've been actually disappointed. He was a guy who threw 100 miles an hour as a pitcher in high school. I expected more out of him in terms of throwing accuracy. He's never been throw it to the catcher's glove kind of guy, and I think he should be.
That's a very good point, Jim. And watching Buxton throw through the years, he still doesn't know where it's going. He tries to play the slice or the hook or wherever the ball's doing, and he doesn't play enough of it, or he plays too much of it, and it never ends up at home plate. So I'm a little surprised he just can't throw a straight laser to the catcher. And then when he tries to take into consideration the curvature of his throws, then he miscalculates on that. So he's kind of wasting his great arm in the outfield with those type of plays. And I remember, when I first started covering ball, we used to see fielders work on their throwing before games, constantly before games. TK was a big proponent of that. But as the years have gone by, fielders have talked coaching staffs into, my arm is shot after these drills, man. Can we just back off of the throwing? And I don't think you see enough of that work on the field anymore. And I wonder if that's an issue.
It probably is, because we saw Puckett and Torrey Hunter work on it incessantly, and they both had incredibly strong, incredibly accurate arms, and they just made those plays all the time.
Yep. Michael Kadire.
Yep.
Who else? Matt Lawton's arm wasn't that bad either.
Gladden didn't have a strong arm, but he threw it to the base. He got it there. Lawton was good enough. Torrey was exceptional. If you work on it enough and you have a strong arm and you're an athlete of that caliber, you should be able to put the ball on the base.
Who in your mind had the strongest outfield arm in Twins history?
Strongest outfield arm in Twins history.
Bob Allison would be in that group somewhere, I would imagine.
I just, didn't get to see him with my own eyes, so I don't want to, just guess. I guess I would say the best arm I saw was Torrey Hunter's.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very strong. It was also very accurate.
Yes, absolutely. And Kadire's arm was not as strong as Torrey's, but very accurate. He'd get over the top and throw a straight line. You could hang clothes in the line he would throw the ball on, and it would get to home plate. They had Alex Ochoa for a couple of years. I used to love watching him throw.
Yeah, and who put the ball right where it needed to be all the time is Eddie Rosario.
That's true. Remember, we were calling him Sheriff Rosario his first couple of years because he was throwing guys out from left field.
Yeah, whatever flaws he had, man, he would throw people out.
Yep. Kepler's arm wasn't bad either.
Nope, Kepler's is fine.
So, there's been a few through the years.
All right, let's get to the other things going on with the Twins, and we'll also do our Booze and Blues segment today. We'll do it without Roy Smalley, which will be difficult, but we'll effort and get through it. Do want to thank Aquarius Home Services.
Scott for Aquarius Home Services. Enjoying the roller coaster spring weather? Record highs, then freezing cold, even snow. Spring sure has its twists and turns. What's next? Our hot, muggy summer. That means now is the time to schedule your AC tune-up, and for a limited time, it's 50% off. From tune-ups and repairs to new system installs, enjoy expert service and no surprise upfront pricing. Schedule today at AquariusHomeservices.com. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
Also want to thank another great Minnesota company doing great work, Minnesota Masonic Charities.
When people think of the Freemasons, they often think of secret handshakes and unusual hats, and of course, the pancake breakfast. Minnesota Masonic Charities would prefer that you think about the work that they do right here in our community. Places like the Masonic Cancer Center at the University of Minnesota or the Masonic Children's Hospital and the Masonic Home in Bloomington. They are just a few examples of the important work that the Freemasons support here in Minnesota. As part of the largest fraternal organization in the world, Masons have consistently answered the call when it comes to charitable needs. We look forward to learning so much more about their many programs here in the weeks to come.
And here's Talk North Star, John Krasinski for True Vision Institute and what it did for him.
True Vision Institute in Bloomington. I've been telling you about it for months now. Just a life-changing experience for me to go to True Vision and have LASIK surgery this summer. Everything is easier for me after having LASIK surgery. I don't have the hassles of contacts and eyeglasses. I don't have to worry about going in for annual appointments to get the eyes checked, and also to make sure that I have the latest and greatest style of glasses, and I'm not looking like some washed up 46-year-old like I am, trying to stay ahead of the trends. I don't have that anymore. I'm just going around free and clear without anything on my face. And that's all thanks to the good folks at True Vision. When you go into True Vision, you will immediately notice how welcoming, how warm, how friendly, and how knowledgeable the staff is there. They get you in, they get you checked out, they find the right vision correction options for you. And then Dr. Chu is just world class in how he helps you through the procedure, how he makes sure that he gets you taken care of, and like he did with me. And I've had zero issues with my vision since I had the surgery in July. And I just keep kicking myself and wishing I would have done it 10 years ago. So go to truevision.com and set up your consultation. Tell them the John Krasinski Show sent you, and get on with your life. Make it easier on yourself, and just get to the point where you can kick your own self in the butt and say, why didn't I do this a long time ago?
Hey, have you been dreaming of a lake cabin lifestyle with boating, fishing, and family fun in northern Minnesota? Well, lately I've thought a lot about how cool it would be to have a getaway like so many Minnesotans. And if you're like me, you probably think that owning your own lakeside getaway is beyond your budget. Well, if you think lake cabin real estate prices keep going up, well, think again. This is Russo, and I'm here to tell you there is an affordable way to enjoy a cabin lifestyle and all that goes with it. And yes, I said affordable. I founded a Clamshell Beach Resort, which is located on the Whitefish chain of 14 lakes for you and your family to enjoy. Here's how. Clamshell has lake homes that offer deeded fractional ownership, and the keywords there are deeded and fractional. You own it. Imagine having 5 weeks a year to enjoy Clamshell with its beaches, pool, and lodge that's full of kids' activities. Is golf your game? There's a great golf course right across the road. Like winter sports? Well, you can go ice fishing, cross-country skiing, or snowmobiling right out the door at Clamshell. And there's no maintenance, no grass mowing, no snow removal. It's done all for you. And you can own a share of Clamshell Beach Resort at an affordable price. To learn more about ownership opportunities at Clamshell Beach Resort, go to cottagesonwhitefish.com or contact Pat Egan at 612-220-9819. That's cottagesonwhitefish.com or Pat Egan at 612-220-9819.
All right. Now, last week, Roy and I talked about Simeon Woods Richardson and making the bunting signal to an opposing hitter and kind of feuding with an opposing hitter from the mound. We didn't really love it. I don't know why pitchers and anybody thinks that somebody shouldn't bunt and try to help their team win. But you said you've had a conversation with Simeon about that. Why don't you share that with us?
Yeah, I talked to him after Wednesday's game. I passed him and said, "Man, you were kind of entertaining on Wednesday. What was going on the mound?" And he knew that Twitter post was out there. Mm-hmm. So he had looked at it, and he was like, "Here's the thing. In regards to the runner on second and him staring him down and blowing a kiss at him, he says, that's not the first time I did that. I've done that before in the past. But that was the first time the guy at the plate got a hit after I did it. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I don't mind if you want to stand there and wink at the base runner, but you got to execute the pitch, or you're going to look like you're going to look foolish, So I get that, and that's understandable. Now with the bunting motion, he said, I was actually motioning to Miranda to watch out for the bunt. And given how we've watched Miranda play defense, I would understand why Simeon wanted to warn Miranda about the possibility of a bunt. All right. So I get that part. He said it just looked bad because after I motioned toward Miranda, I looked back toward home plate and the hitter was looking at me. So it looked like Simeon was doing it at the hitter when he wasn't. And he said, yeah, and the guy on Twitter, just ran with it because he's trying to make a big deal out of it. So he didn't seem upset about it. He was just saying it matter of factly. He didn't have any angry tone in his voice as we discussed it. It was just a matter of fact. I'm not a big fan of blowing a kiss at the runner at second base after staring him down for 5 seconds. And maybe the bunting motion was just an unfortunate time for him to do that. But once again, with Miranda is necessary, so I'm willing to give him a pass on that. But it just made for a very interesting outing for Simeon Woods Richardson.
It did. And, I just think pitchers need to, I like pitchers to show composure on the mound and not get into all that stuff. I'll also counter, I will balance all this by saying Simeon Woods Richardson, if they had made the playoffs last year, he would have been one of the major reasons why. And he has pitched well this year. I actually really like him as a pitcher. I'm just not sure that getting into with opponents is the best thing for a pitcher. I just don't think you win in that regard.
And the thing with Simeon, too, is that I still don't know how he gets hitters out because he doesn't have swing and miss stuff. What he has, though, he has moxie. He does have an array of pitches. And for the most part, he stays a step ahead of hitters in terms of what they're looking for. And that has served him well in his short career. But I think he could do without activating the opponents by staring at him, blowing kisses, or making it look like they're mocking him for butting on him in the previous at bat.
Agreed. All right, 2 more players I want to get to today before we get to Booze and Blues. First is Julian saving his career right now?
Oh, it's amazing how these things transpire. 2 weeks ago, even in spring training, we were wondering if Julian was going to make the team because of the defensive mistakes he was making. There was one spring training game, I think it was against Toronto, where he made 5 mistakes in the field and he was playing first base. And I was wondering if he was going to make the team and then how long he was going to have to simmer at AAA before the Twins would trust him again. But the way the offense has gone and the way Julian has started hitting the ball lately, taking the bats, not watching strike 3, he has earned his way back into the lineup, and they need all the help they can get at the plate, at the dish, and Julian's providing that. So, yeah, Julian's great now, and I will say this, ladies and gentlemen, Wednesday's game against the Mets, he played very well. He fielded the ball smoothly. His throwing was accurate, and he had the unassisted double play, which is a notch in his belt because you don't see those very often. But it was one of his better defensive games as a Twin. And I don't know if the success as a plate gives him confidence in the field because, we hear about the dangers of one side of the game leaking into the other. If you're scuffling in one area, does it affect your hitting? It's the fact that he's hitting better at the plate, making him feel better about himself, and is it carrying over to his defense? It possibly could. And if it is, good for him.
Yeah, agreed. The other interesting player right now for me is Griffin Jacks. Tremendous year last year. Good enough to make him a closer on most teams. And he doesn't look quite the same this year. No.
And the thing about bullpens, we've covered a lot of them. They can be volatile from year to year. Guys that click one year don't necessarily click the next. And Jax looks like he's kind of in that mode a little bit. The stuff still looks good. The sweeper still looks strong. I don't know if it's a factor of more scouting and hitters focusing on him. Is it bad luck? Giving up that 3-run homer during the Houston series hopefully is in the portent of what the season is going to be. But there's plenty of time left for him to get on a groove. And so I'm not going to sound the alarm yet on Griffin Jacks. He's accomplished too much over the last couple of years. And we know what's in his arsenal. And I think you just have to write it out a little bit. And what you want is that you've got other pitchers in that bullpen who could step in from time to time, like a Cole Sands, maybe even Justin Topa. Akla needs to pitch better, definitely. And he's a pitcher's fielding practice culprit as well. And your buddy Brock Stewart made his first rehab assignment appearance on Tuesday against for Fort Myers. And I had a buddy in the stand, and he said he faced 3 hitters, struck out 2 of them, and hit 95 in the gun. So he's on his way to coming back as well. But no, I'm not ready to be extremely worried about Jax.
Good. Because I love watching him pitch, and this team will be much better if he pitches the way he did last year. All right, let's go to our Booze and Blues segment. We have had so many good Booze and Blues segments this season already, and this winter. I think we're in a little bit of a lull right now. I think we need some inspiration. So here's what I'm going to tell you, as a music aficionado, as someone who plays guitar, as a band. I find the older I get, the older the music I like. Guess what I was listening to today?
Something from the 50s?
Elvis Presley's Hunk of Burnin' Love.
Oh, my God.
and here's why I bring it up. It's because it, like so many things regarding Elvis, it has become a cliche, right? Hunk of Burnin' Love. You know, everybody can make fun of it. Everybody can envision Fat Elvis doing that song in Vegas. Then you go listen to like the original, and then you listen to some artists who have covered it the last 10, 20 years. It's a great song. The Hunk of Burnin' Love thing is kind of a funny ending chorus. It's an outro. But up until then, it's just kind of a good pop rock love song. It's actually a lot of fun.
Well, the amazing thing about Elvis is that you have people in their 20s who have listened to Elvis music.
Right.
And they actually like it, which is amazing because that's damn near 2 generations ago. You know, I walked into the Wild Clubhouse on Tuesday after they won an overtime and clinched the playoff berth, and they had Viva Las Vegas queued up on the jukebox in the clubhouse.
And that's another great song. That's a fantastic song.
Yeah. And what was a song that they found in the archives about 15 years ago and they released and went to number 1? A little more satisfaction, a little more action, something like that.
Oh yeah, that one. And that one, you know, once again, it's late Elvis, so it's got some Vegas jive to it, but it's still a good song.
It is. And they released it, you know, like I said, 10, 15 years ago, maybe longer. And it was a banger right off the bat. And you know, you're a fantastic artist and the impact you've had on the industry when your songs like 40 years later after recording still sound good.
And now you're reminding me of, I can't remember what video it was. I'm sure all you have to do is Google it. And Suspicious Minds is another great late Elvis song.
Yes.
There's a movie, a video, whatever you want to call it, out from Elvis late in his career. And I'm not finding it right now. But if you have any interest in old school music or Elvis Presley, you got to go find it. It's like almost like there's like a round couch and he's like walking around playing with but he had a great band. Like I think James Burton was his guitarist. He was an amazing guitarist. And you know, I cannot find it. I cannot find it, but there's a live concert from Elvis late in his life where he is still on his game and his band is fantastic and they tear it up. If you get a chance to listen to it.
Yeah. The song I'm referring to is A Little Less Conversation.
Yes. Great song.
It was done in 1968. And then there was a remix done in 2002. And then there was a re-recording of Elvis's song that became a worldwide hit.
Love it.
In 2002-03.
I love it.
That's remarkable.
Good stuff from LaVelle. We'll have Roy back next week. Reminder, we're coming to the Aquarius Home Services studio. Check out Giggly Beverages. Check out Onyx Hunt. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Thanks to everyone who listens. We do appreciate it. Let's hope the Twins give us more good stuff to talk about.
No kidding.